He rang me at 3 a.m. My payment failed at the venue. Transfer $2,000 immediately or they'll hold us here. I responded, reach out to your father. After that, I powered down my device and returned to bed. The contact from the authorities the following day. I'll dive right in since this tale is wild. Aiming to make it concise, yet there's plenty to dissect. I'm 30, committed to Lauren, 28F, for 9 months currently. We haven't cohabited because I aim to confirm our fit prior to committing to rent. Wise choice. In fact, she resides in a condo with a pair of housemates roughly 25 minutes from my home. Details on Lauren. Hails from wealth but was disconnected by her folks 2 years back for causes she's consistently evasive on. Asserts they're domineering and fail to grasp her autonomy. Employed at a public relations agency earning perhaps 45k, yet expends as if earning 120k. Constantly attired impeccably with luxury purses, lavish meals, you recognize the sort. Wouldn't countered issues regarding finances for weeks. She anticipated I'd cover bills for all things since that's what partners do, but I'm not overflowing with funds. I handle residential electrical earning solid pay, but I'm not bankrolling another's opulent habits. Established that from the outset. The genuine troubles began once her companions entered the picture. This circle of 4 women from university who all wedded affluent men and passed their time purchasing items and sharing social media updates from upscale eateries. They persistently urge Lauren to match their extravagance. Despite her circumstances being entirely distinct, these companions are poisonous beyond measure. Regularly proposing costly getaway excursions to Napa Valley or Atlantic City that run thousands each. When Lauren can't cover it, they toss sarcastic remarks about her frugal existence and how tragic it is that she must earn her keep. I advised Lauren repeatedly that these ladies weren't true pals. Genuine pals don't compel you to squander funds you lack merely to blend into their group. But she was eager to preserve her societal position, even if it resulted in accumulating loans. 3 weeks prior, Lauren's pal Zoe became betrothed to a finance executive. They hosted a betrothal celebration at this elegant location in the urban core with unlimited drinks and gourmet food. The sort of gathering that exceeds the value of many folks' vehicles. At the event, I observed these ladies vie over who possessed the priciest gown, the largest betrothal gem, the most elite holiday itineraries. It was repulsive seeing mature individuals behave like adolescents attempting to dazzle one another with parental funds. Lauren was unhappy throughout the evening. She'd loaned an outfit from her housemate and sensed inadequately attired next to her pal's high-end ensembles. Continually remarking on how fortunate Zoe was to secure a guy who could supply such an existence. That's when I realized our bond was at risk. She wasn't viewing me as a companion. She was assessing my income capacity versus her pal's spouses. I wasn't an individual to her. I was a financial resource with vitality. The week following the betrothal celebration, Lauren began suggesting desires for a grander gem. Mine was a simple 0.8 carat from J. Jewelers, but evidently that lacked prestige for her network. She displayed images of Zoe's for carat Cartier piece that likely ran 60 grand. I ended that discussion promptly. Informed her we'd previously reviewed our spending limits and hopes. That if she desired to rival inheritance heirs, she ought to have considered that before committing to a blue-collar fellow. She became protective, claiming she wasn't aiming to rival anybody. Simply wished to feel exceptional on her nuptial date like any spouse-to-be. But I'd overheard her during calls with her companions griping about my inexpensive gem and how ashamed she felt to display it. 2 weeks prior, Lauren notified me she was organizing a pre-wedding bash in Las Vegas. Not inquiring about it or debating the expenses, just declaring that she'd begun coordinating with her companions. The expense would hover around $3,000 each for travel, accommodations, suppers, and nightlife. I chuckled and questioned where she believed those funds were originating. She stated her companions were contributing, and she hoped I'd handle her share as a commitment present. $6,000 altogether, since she aimed to include her sibling as well. That's where I set the boundary. $6,000 for a brief period of reverie, while we were meant to be accumulating for a ceremony. I informed her definitely no, and if she desired to head to Las Vegas, she could determine how to finance it on her own. The argument that ensued was monumental. Lauren charged me with being domineering and unhelpful. Stated any gentleman who truly cherished his betrothed would desire her to enjoy time with her pals. That I was humiliating her by causing her to appear destitute relative to the others. I recalled for her that we'd conversed on monetary alignment before committing. That I wasn't going to ruin myself attempting to align with individuals who possessed inherited wealth. She could select between the Las Vegas excursion and possessing a betrothed because I wasn't supporting both. She rushed away and avoided communicating with me for 3 days. In that period, she remained at her pal Mia's residence, and they schemed how she could yet execute the Las Vegas excursion. When she eventually returned, she declared she discovered an answer. Lauren's father had consented to finance the excursion if she vowed to handle finances more prudently ahead. I was doubtful since she mentioned her folks severed her entirely, but she maintained they were prepared to assist with unique events. The Las Vegas excursion was scheduled for the prior weekend, Thursday to Sunday, at a deluxe hotel on the Strip. I wasn't enthusiastic about it, but reasoned if her father was covering, then it wasn't my concern. At minimum, she'd expel it from her routine, and we could concentrate on actual ceremony preparations. Thursday dawn, Lauren departed for the terminal with 2 large bags and a handbag packed with cosmetics and accessories. She was more thrilled than I'd witnessed her in weeks. Kept uploading updates about before-journey cocktails and premium cabin positions that certainly weren't in her initial allocation. The warning sign emerged right away. Thursday evening, she uploaded clips from supper at a spot with starters priced $60. Friday involved lounging by private shaded areas that lease for $500 daily. Saturday entailed browsing on Fremont Street with packages from boutiques I recognized she couldn't manage. I remained silent because officially it wasn't my funds being depleted, but something seemed amiss about the entire scenario. Either her father was far more liberal than she'd revealed, or she was amassing obligations that would turn into my issue post-nuptials. Friday evening near midnight, I received an intoxicated message from Lauren. Image of her and the women at a high-level lounge with premium liquor delivery. The type of arrangement that demands thousands for a spot. She appeared joyful, but I was beginning to fret about the source of all this funding. Saturday mirrored the pattern. Costly midday meals, boat charters, high-fashion acquisition binges. Her social feed resembled a tycoon's daily journal. Either her parent had struck it rich or Lauren was existing in an illusion realm that was bound to collapse severely. Saturday evening near 2 a.m., my device began vibrating. Several unanswered rings from Lauren trailed by progressively urgent messages. I was resting and my device was muted, so I didn't notice any until the subsequent dawn. Then at precisely 3:17 a.m., my device sounded. Lauren's identifier on the display and ambient sounds resembling a dance hall. I picked up drowsy, assuming perhaps a crisis existed. "Darling, praise heaven you picked up," as she shouted above the tunes. "I require you to transfer funds immediately." I was fully alert. "What do you refer to? What's the issue?" "My payment rejected at the venue. We accumulated this massive charge and guards seized our documents. They're summoning authorities if we can't settle now. I require you to transfer $2,000 or we'll face detention." I rose in the mattress, attempting to absorb what she was conveying. "What do you imply your payment rejected?" I believed your father was covering this excursion. He provided funds for the lodging and journeys, but we've depleted beyond projections. My loan accounts are exhausted and the women lack sufficient currency to handle the charge. You must aid me. That's when it registered. There never existed funds from her father. She'd been supporting this whole excursion via loan accounts. And now actuality was overtaking. The elegant suppers, the acquisitions, the premium liquor, all of it was obligations she'd been piling up. How large is the charge? I inquired. $8,000, but they mentioned they'd accept $6,000 if we provide currency this evening. Kindly, darling, you must aid us. Guards won't return our documents, and I'm frightened. $8,000 for a single evening at a venue. I couldn't fathom expending that sum on beverages. But what truly struck me was her presumption that I'd simply dispatch her thousands at 3 a.m. to resolve her chaos. Contact your father, I stated composedly. What? I informed you he already assisted with the excursion. I can't request more funds from him. Kindly, just dispatch what you're able and I'll manage the remainder. You fabricated about your father covering anything, correct? This entire excursion has been via loan accounts, and now you're trapped with a charge you can't settle. Quiet on her side, save for the venue tunes in the distance. Then she commenced weeping. Kindly don't impose this on me. I erred, but I require assistance presently. We can discuss all else subsequently. That's when I reached the choice that likely preserved my economic prospects. Contact your father, Iris stated. If he possesses funds for your habits, then he possesses funds to extract you from this disorder. I'm not your cash machine. You can't be earnest. I'm your betrothed. When an individual you cherish faces difficulty, you assist them. When an individual you cherish deceives you regarding finances and accumulates thousands in obligations secretly, you discover their true nature. Resolve it independently. I disconnected and deactivated my device, resumed resting, and didn't ponder it further until dawn. Around 9 a.m., my device began vibrating the instant I activated it. Numerous unanswered rings from Lauren, plus rings from unfamiliar digits. Recorded messages that I erased without hearing. Text communications that grew progressively urgent as the evening progressed. Then around 11 a.m., I received a ring from a Las Vegas region code that I nearly ignored, but an intuition suggested I should accept it. Is this Ethan Carter speaking? This is Sergeant Lopez with Las Vegas Police Department. We have your betrothed Lauren Brooks in detention, and she requested we reach you. My spirit plummeted. Regardless of all, I didn't desire her to genuinely face arrest. What are the accusations? Fraudulent use of services and disruptive behavior. She and 3 other females amassed a significant charge at a dance hall last evening and couldn't settle. When officers came to examine, your betrothed grew aggressive and opposed when personnel attempted to detain her. I massaged my forehead attempting to digest this data. Is she all right? She's okay bodily. Passed the evening in local detention and will be freed this dawn if someone can submit her release fee. She demanded we contact you to organize settlement and retrieval. How much is the release fee? $1,000 currency or shorty. The venue is also yet pursuing compensation for their deficits, which we comprehend amounted over $8,000. So, she still was liable for the funds that initiated this entire disorder, plus now possessed release fee and court costs additionally. Her enjoyable brief stay in Las Vegas was evolving into an economic disaster that could trail her for decades. Officer, I value you contacting, but I'm not in Las Vegas and won't be submitting release or handling any expenses linked to this occurrence. She'll need to reach her relatives or companions for support. Extended quiet on the opposite side. Sir, are you certain? She was quite adamant that you would manage the matter. I'm certain she generated this disorder through her own selections, and she can determine how to rectify it. After I disconnected, I remained seated contemplating how it arrived at this juncture. 9 months prior, I believed I was committed to someone dependable and grown-up. Now she was positioned in a Las Vegas detention room because she couldn't regulate her expenditures or confront truth about her monetary status. The subsequent few hours were chaotic. Lauren's companions began ringing me, insisting I release her. Emia yelled at me for deserting my betrothed during her crisis. Zoe charged me with being manipulative and psychologically harmful. Emma stated I was destroying their bond by permitting Lauren to endure. I conveyed to each the identical message. If they were such fine companions, they could draw from their inheritance reserves and support her. Ultimately, they were the individuals who urged her to undertake this excursion initially. My finances weren't accountable for their unwise choices. Around 3 p.m., I received a ring from a digit I didn't know. Lauren's parent, who I'd only encountered twice throughout our whole bond. He was contacting from the terminal en route to Las Vegas to address the matter. We must converse, he stated without prelude. Regarding what, Mr. Brooks? Regarding the reality that my offspring is positioned in detention because her betrothed declined to assist her during a crisis. I nearly chuckled. A crisis she produced by fabricating about possessing funds for an excursion she couldn't manage. Your offspring has an issue with monetary prudence, and I'm not facilitating it further. She erred, but that doesn't signify you forsake her when she requires aid. What sort of gentleman abandons his betrothed isolated? The sort who acknowledges that repeatedly extracting someone from their unwise selections doesn't aid them in acquiring superior ones. Were you aware she informed me you were covering this excursion? Quiet on his side, then an exhalation. We haven't provided Lauren funds in exceeding 2 years. She depleted her inheritance reserve in 6 months and anticipated us to continue bankrolling her habits endlessly. That verified what I'd presumed. So, she deceived me about all. The excursion, the acquisitions, the eateries, all of it was via loan accounts she can't reimburse. Likely. Listen, I'm going to manage the release and court costs because she's my offspring. But I believe you should be aware that Lauren is liable for about $40,000 on diverse loan accounts. This Las Vegas excursion likely appended another $15,000 to $20,000 to that sum. My gut sank. $60,000 in loan account obligations that she'd been concealing from me. If we'd wedded, I could have been responsible for future expenditures, and her incapacity to add monetarily would have been my load. She'd been intending to unload her monetary issues on me without my awareness. Why are you informing me this? Because you appear like a respectable fellow who merits to understand what is entering. Lauren has perpetually had an issue with funds and repercussions. We attempted to instruct her prudence by severing her, but it appears she merely discovered alternative methods to bankroll her expenditures. After we disconnected, I remained seated contemplating our whole bond. How many instances had she proposed upscale eateries and anticipated me to settle? How frequently had she acquired items she asserted were discounted but likely went on loan accounts? How much obligation was she intending to introduce into our union? That night, Lauren rang from the terminal. Her father had released her and they were traveling back jointly. She was sobbing and expressing regret, stating she recognized she'd erred, but we could resolve it collectively. I permitted her to speak for roughly 5 minutes, then interrupted her. It's finished, Lauren. What do you imply it's finished? I expressed I regretted it. I recognize I erred, but individuals and bonds support one another through challenging periods. Individuals and bonds are truthful with one another. You've been deceiving about funds for weeks while piling up obligations that would have turned my duty post-union. That's not an error. It's deception. You can't terminate with me over this. I was terrified and frantic. The women were all expending funds, and I didn't wish to appear destitute before them. You understand how vital their bond is to me. More vital than truthfulness in our bond. Evidently, more vital than monetary prudence or preparing for our prospects. You opted to dazzle individuals who don't genuinely concern for you over constructing something authentic with someone who did. She implored and entreated for an additional opportunity. Vowed she'd destroy the loan accounts and obtain economic guidance. Stated she'd never deceive me again and would perform whatever necessary to regain my confidence. But confidence isn't something you can merely mend with vows after it's been demolished this thoroughly. I'm finished, Lauren. Don't reach me further. I restricted her contact and passed the remainder of the night removing images and packaging items she'd abandoned at my home. The commitment was concluded, and I sensed freer than I had in weeks. The following dawn, Lauren appeared at my entrance with puffy eyes and prior day's attire. She'd travelled directly from the terminal to attempt once more to rescue our bond. Kindly don't discard all we created over one foolish brief period. I cherish you and I recognize you cherish me. We can resolve this if you merely grant me an opportunity. I presented her the package of her possessions. I don't cherish who you've turned into. The individual I adored was truthful and prudent. You've been deceiving about funds while covertly intending to make me accountable for your obligations. That's not affection. That's exploitation. Everyone errs. You're being harsh and unfeeling. How can you discard our prospects over funds? I'm not discarding it over funds. I'm concluding it because you've demonstrated that you don't hold my principles. You concern more about facades and societal rank than truthfulness and prudence. We're not aligned, and we never were. She remained on my entryway sobbing and imploring for an additional opportunity, but I shut the entrance. Occasionally you must reach tough choices to safeguard your prospects, even when it stings presently. Update since this exploded. Lauren's been attempting to reach me via shared acquaintances for the previous week. She's evidently in debt management and desires to demonstrate she's transformed. Her companions are still bothering me on digital platforms, labeling me unfeeling for deserting her. Discovered from her housemate that she is liable for nearer to $70,000 overall when you incorporate the Las Vegas excursion fees. Her father engaged an attorney to bargain the venue charge, but she still is liable for around $12,000 for that brief period solely. She relocated back with her folks because she can't manage housing costs anymore. Forfeited her position because she reported ill for 3 days following return from Las Vegas without clarification. My relatives believe I chose correctly. Her relatives is divided between anger at me and relief that I won't be assuming her monetary issues. I'm concentrating on myself and my profession now. Exploring purchasing a residence since I don't need to fret about another's obligations anymore. Avoided a huge hazard and acquired to rely on my intuitions about individuals' nature. For anyone confronting something akin, observe how your companion manages funds and pressure. Those characteristics don't wondrously enhance post-union. They deteriorate when there are judicial safeguards, making it tougher to depart. 3 months prior, I believed I was organizing a ceremony. Now, I'm organizing an existence where I don't need to fret about another's unwise choices ruining me financially. Occasionally, the harshest events that occur to you prove to be the finest that could have.